I can't,
Well, I drove through after our last meeting when you mentioned that things were happening.
Testing.
I can't imagine I won't get through.
Hello.
Those 2-acre lots, right?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah, one, I think,
There's a delay.
no, they gotta be two.
Look.
No, just under two,
for subdivision, which cluster?
yeah.
Took a while.
Well, I think the ones on Royalsboro were 800, weren't they?
I never saw those. They were all kind of almost built out when I got here. You're talking about,
The ones near me, the one,
Yeah.
remember near the,
With the six of them, yeah.
yeah, I think those were like.
Within a year, they were all built,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know, trying to buy a house right
the anticipation builds
No.
were a minute and a half out.
Work hard.
So you got a picture.
Nothing.
Friday
No
night.
Friday.
You know,
What's right?
I'm going to Italy Friday night.
keep it that way.
Sorry,
You're going to Italy Friday night.
Oh, Neil just got back. I don't know if he had a good time.
You don't know?
Well, I picked him up at.
How can you not?
I picked him up at midnight. So they were pretty jet lagged and had really bad colds. But how was the food? Yeah, okay. It's like go to Italy and you have all the okay food. I mean, good Lord, go to get and go.
It's interesting, because when we come back, it's gonna be midnight. in
Yeah, I
Boston.
think it's just
Coming
they
back.
were, had colds and other things.
Mm. But it's running about 85, 90 degrees over there right now.
Yeah, it was warm. But I think overall they had a good time. They went to Milan, Cinque Terre, however you say it, and Rome. Where are you going?
Rome, Vienna, Pisa, you name it. We were there for 8 days.
Been to Rome and Venice.
We're at 6:30.
We are at 6:30, so we can begin. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the June 4th regular meeting of the Durham Planning Board. We have a quorum, we have 4 members. So, roll call. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any amendments to the agenda?
I have a question on meeting minutes, but
We're coming up next.
I believe you had asked to add the July date.
That's also part of this, it's
Is it on
amendments
there?
to the agenda and set July meeting date.
There it is, okay.
So, no amendments to the agenda. When I asked about the July meeting date, I just want to make sure, I think it's the 2nd of July. So I don't know if everybody's going on vacation that week. The 4th is a Friday, I believe.
I am out that week.
You're gone, so we're down to,
I will be here.
you'll be here,
It looks like I'll be here.
okay, and I'll be here. And, oh, by the way, Mark is on duty this evening, so I will check in with him. So I would recommend we just go ahead and stay with 2nd of July, if everybody's okay with that. Now, acceptance of meeting minutes. Juliet, you had a question.
Yeah, did y'all you all discuss the Replenova Farm last meeting?
The what, I'm sorry?
The Replenova Farm event?
No.
Okay.
If I remember right, they submitted the application after our deadline. We discussed it in April, but
Yes.
that was for outdoor eating.
Yeah, I just saw some notes in here saying that it was discussed during the May meeting.
The board just set the public hearing, that's it.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
so you scheduled a public
We
hearing
did do that,
for
yes, this evening.
this evening?
Yeah.
That was all that was discussed
Yeah.
then? Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, so any other questions, comments on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved,
Second.
seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, raise a hand if you vote to approve. 4-0. George, informational exchange on non-agenda items, town officials.
Just give you a couple of updates. The community facilities study concluded with a presentation at the select board of the Greater Portland Council of Governments that kind of facilitated the whole process. And it was looking at these buildings, Eureka, the fire station, the town hall, and the ball field. And so after about, gosh, it's been at least a year-long process, they presented their report, final report to the select board, and pretty much as you would expect, people see the need for the facilities, but they're concerned about paying for improvements, the needed improvements. But at some point, the town recognizes that something has to be done in terms of, this is a temporary meeting space, and there's a lot of complications with trying to run public meetings in this building with the lack of security and trying to do executive sessions, interference with public safety functions. It's only a temporary solution. So the consultants and the study group and the public participation reviewed the options, which included doing a renovation to the Eureka Center, possibly relocating and other issues where town office space is so cramped and public space is equally cramped in terms of people doing business there. So after reviewing the options of doing something with Eureka, building a new building, expanding the existing town offices, the select board kind of came to the consensus that expanding the town offices, which was proposed back in 2006, is the most cost-effective and realistic solution. In the meantime, they're moving forward with trying to move these meetings over to the Eureka Center. The select board approved connecting internet, paying for the connections of the internet, so that's moving forward. The other thing they talked about was trying to get DOT to do something with this intersection. It does not qualify for any type of construction, but the town manager is just trying to get them to paint a triangle out there. So at least people, if there are lanes painted, they know that there is you're not supposed to pass cars that are parked in front of you to go left when they're trying to go left. Just try to get some sense of that. That could, in the future, lead to perhaps a raised island that would help channel that traffic, but it does not meet crash data to even be on MDOT's radar to do anything with that. So what they're talking about doing is getting an architectural study done for an expansion of the town hall, town offices, and secondly, considering moving forward with a master plan for these properties to see in the long-term future what the goals would be. So that was that. On the codification, we'll be reporting back more, but the select board did review the report that I had prepared for them with a proposed plan for moving forward that I kind of talked in last meeting, and they endorsed moving forward on that track. So they will be hopefully setting up a meeting like we do every year with the other boards and commissions leadership to kind of set the priorities for the coming year sometime in June, hopefully.
The only thing I would add is that the select board said that select board, planning board, appeals board, and budget committee could stay here, but they wanted the others to move over there and use that stuff. So I think it's still somewhat to be determined, and then we probably just need to decide where to go. Although there is a conflict on Wednesdays because the agricultural committee's over there right now. I think they meet the same day, but all that could be sorted out. So, okay, if George has nothing else, residents, any comments? Seeing none. Non-residents, any comments? Seeing none. Continuing business. So we have a public hearing on conditional use application for seasonal outdoor wedding venue at 335 Newellbrook Road, map 5, lot 61. Public comment will be taken, so I've just got to read a couple of things here, bear with me, about public hearings. So, so the planning board bylaws provide that the chairman has described the purpose of the public hearing and the procedures to be followed. I think I just did that for why we're having it. The board may receive oral or documentary evidence shall be excluded irrelevant or unduly repetitious evidence. The chairman shall make a determination of the relevance of any evidence or testimony, and that determination can be challenged by a motion of any board member subject to a majority vote of the board members. Every party shall have the right to present its case in the order determined by the chairman and without interruption. The chairman may impose such reasonable time limits as may be necessary to ensure that all parties have adequate opportunity to be heard. Every party shall have the right to submit rebuttal evidence and to conduct cross-examination of any other party through the chair. So if anybody has any questions, you ask me and I'll forward them. Provided, however, the chairman may impose such other reasonable limitations as may be necessary to prevent an abuse of process. An aggrieved party is defined as any person who can demonstrate that he or she will suffer a particularized injury by issuance or non-issuance of the license, permit, and approval in question. A particularized injury is one that directly operates against the party's property, pecuniary or personal rights. An injury suffered by all the citizens of the town and equal proportionate manner is not a particularized injury. Section 19.7 during land use ordinance. Comments and questions should be focused on helping the planning board determine whether the application meets the adopted conditional use and site plan review criteria and standards, as opposed to debating town growth management policies, which are set at town meeting and must be followed by the planning board. The application and staff comments were made available on the town website, and the purpose of the public hearing is to receive public input on the application and not to have an explanation of the process and ordinance requirements. And finally, these procedures and limitations on public input are required to ensure that the applicant and affected parties are given due process and that legal deadlines for a planning board decision on the application can be met. So, having read all of that, is anybody out there here to speak in favor of or against this project? Okay. I have to open it, so I will officially open the meeting at 7:40, I think it is, and I will close it
6:40.
6:40, and I will close it at, just seemed like it took an hour to read that. And close it at 6:41. Okay, so that part of it is done. We move on to the meat of the meeting, which is our substantive review of conditional use application for seasonal outdoor wedding venue at 335 Newellbrook Road, map 5, lot 61. At this point, public comment will not be taken. And so what I'd like to do is, we went through this in some detail at our last meeting. Mr. Tavares, if you would kind of refresh our memory, and if you would step up here and give your name and address, we'll give you an opportunity to speak as well, but we'll start with the town planner.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members, the applicant's here requesting conditional use approval for a seasonal outdoor wedding venue on Newellbrook Road. And as I explained at the last meeting, the zoning allows other commercial uses not specified in the ordinance as a conditional use. He's proposing to use a field on his 47-acre farm that's set back behind a border of trees, so it's fairly well buffered. He did have a temporary access drive, and one of the issues that came up last meeting was that the DOT permit was temporary. He has since then applied for and received a permanent MDOT permit for the entrance. We did ask some questions about the proposed, seems like a woods road goes down through the forest buffer, and the applicant indicated last time that he would be doing some site work and improvements to it himself. And then the last item that the board brought up was the concern about management of these events, where the applicant's just going to be leasing or renting the field to the applicants for the venue, and then they are responsible for keeping basically in compliance with the conditional use criteria for noise, everything else, hours and those sorts of things. So the board asked to see the contract that he will use with those people using the facility to make sure that they understand what they have to do. He did submit that, and that is in your packet. So the two updates are the MDOT permit and the contract that he will be using. So I did include within the packet draft findings based on the application and testimony, and we can update that from last meeting. And you did do a cursory review, went down through it, and so you can revisit those, and it's all in order for a decision.
Okay, thank you. Sir? Do you have anything to add?
No, I think that we've covered most everything. Oh, I do have I'll lay it to the side here, the contacts, where I notified my neighbors of tonight's meeting.
Public hearing,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else?
No, I'd like George was saying, that we did get the permit from MDOT, the change of use for the driveway entrance, and I think that was our biggest hurdle there, but that's taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, the neighbors seem excited about it. I mean, they're glad that the property's getting used for something.
Okay. Good. My thought for the board is that we could go back over, we need to vote on each of the items separately, that we go back over them. I think that would cover any remaining questions that we would have and discussion, and then vote individually on each one, unless does anybody have any general questions before we start going through the criteria?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a statement that I'm gonna step back from voting on this just because I wasn't at the last meeting. I don't wanna hold you all up, so.
Okay. Which means that to get approval, it requires a unanimous vote.
Mhm.
Our rules are that it has to be a majority of the board count, which is 3 people.
Okay.
Okay, so, anything else? If not, we will begin with review criteria. Number 1, public health impacts. And I will read through them, and we can just have a discussion. Public health impacts: the proposed use will not create unsanitary or unhealthful conditions by reason of sewage disposal, emissions to the air or water, or other aspect of its design or operation. So findings: portable toilets and sanitation service will be contracted by the event organizer using licensed vendors. And I guess one of the questions I've got is make sure we've got the definition right. So the event organizer is,
That is the client, or the
people who are
client's
renting the
party
space.
planner, yes.
okay.
And
Trash
that
will-
is in our contract.
Okay, just want to be sure. Trash will be collected during and after events and removed from the site without using town trash collection or resources. No air or water emissions anticipated. All food service vendors will be required to comply with Maine CDC food safety regulations, and sanitation and distancing measures will be observed as required by current guidance. So, any comments on number 1, public health?
John, just which page are you on here? You going right through the,
I am.
Page 54 in the packet.
Thank you, George. I didn't bring George told me I need to bring my computer and I forgot. So on page 54, so these are modified. The applicant submitted his response to this, and then it's been updated with our comments or questions. So any comments or questions on public health impacts?
No.
Seeing none, I will take a motion on the criteria.
make a motion to approve section 3, public safety impacts?
Are you on the right page? This is one of those motions made by the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of.
I think it's on the next page, Brian.
Pardon me? You see what I'm referring to there?
Top of page 54 of the packet, do you have that?
I can help out if you need it.
Go for it.
Yeah, if you want to make the motion.
I'll make a motion, the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for public health impacts.
Second?
I'll second.
Well, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Gotcha.
Seeing none, please raise a hand if you approve. Unanimous, 3-0. Now, traffic safety impacts. The proposed use will not create unsafe vehicular or pedestrian traffic conditions when added to existing and foreseeable traffic in its vicinity. The applicant stated maximum of 50 vehicles per event. Arrival departure will be staggered over 6 to 8 hours. Event staff will direct vehicles and ensure safe circulation. So event staff is who?
Yes, that would be myself, my wife, and my daughter,
Okay,
my adult daughter.
okay, thank you. Parking area situation on well-drained sandy soil with natural grading. 5 mile per hour speed limit posted and enforced on internal drives, so you'll put up
I
signs.
will, yes.
Site is a minimum of 500 feet of clear sight distance along Newellbrook Road per included study. So he showed pictures looking left and right coming out of the proposed drive, showing the distance. I think 511 and 531 was the other one.
Mhm.
And MDOT has issued a permit for the proposed driveway entrance, granting permission for an entrance to a private wedding venue. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will take a motion.
I'll move that the applicant is satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with criterion for traffic safety impacts.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. So any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise your hand if you vote to approve. Unanimous. Public safety impacts. The proposed use will not create public safety problems which would be substantially different from those created by existing uses in the neighborhood or require a substantially greater degree of municipal services than existing uses in the neighborhood. Findings. The venue is shielded from adjacent properties by mature natural tree buffers as well as privacy fences. A clear path for fire and ambulance vehicles is available, and Chief said he would use the existing asphalt drive that you got to get back there. Use of municipal services is not anticipated except in emergencies. Any additional findings of fact? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve? I will move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for public safety impacts.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other comment? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. 3-0. Environmental impacts. The proposed use will not result in sedimentation, erosion, or have an adverse effect on water supplies. No permanent structures will be constructed. Restrooms and parking will be located with respect to land contours and sensitive areas. And by restrooms, you're referring to porta potties.
The restroom trailers.
Okay, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fancy. Agricultural use of land will continue, natural vegetation preserved, no erosion or sedimentation is expected, native flora will be undisturbed. Any additional findings? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for environmental impacts.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. Number 5, scale and intensity of use. The proposed use will be compatible with existing uses in the neighborhood with respect to physical size, visual impact, intensity of use, and proximity to other structures. Findings. Events are limited to 1 per week, weekends only. Maximum guest count of 100. The site is shielded from neighboring properties by mature tree buffers. Limited line of sight to the venue from neighboring roads or residences. Any additional findings? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to approve.
I'll move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for scale and intensity of use.
Second? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. It has been approved. Noise and hours of operations. The proposed use will be compatible with existing uses in the neighborhood with respect to the generation of noise and hours of operation. Findings. Events may operate between 9 a.m. and 10 p.m. Amplified music and announcements will cease by 9:30 p.m. Fireworks are prohibited unless performed by a licensed vendor with the state of Maine and city guidelines, and neighbors who provide an email address will be notified of the season's event dates at least 30 days in advance. So I have 2 corrections.
Yes,
You are prohibiting fireworks.
period. Yes.
Okay, so if you would, please, on finding C, fireworks, fireworks are prohibited, and then line through everything after unless. So C would read, just fireworks are prohibited. D, neighbors who provide an email address will be notified of the season's event dates at least 30 days in advance. I would like for those who don't have email,
Mhm.
your neighbors,
Yes.
I would like to see you either mail them or somehow notify them
Okay.
that in fact, so I guess I would just say, neighbors will be notified of the season's event dates at least 30 days in advance.
Yes, we can do that.
Is everybody else okay with that?
That's fine.
So, still get a lot of complaints about who do not have email addresses. So neighbors will be notified of the season's event dates at least 30 days in advance. Any other comments, questions on findings?
I was glad to see that the update on the fireworks will be prohibited.
Yes.
I love fireworks, but
I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people like them, but a lot of animals don't.
Yeah. and if you-
In the contract that you provided, it says that, music is to end at 10 PM?
Oh, that was a typo then. It should have been 9:30.
Okay.
I'll update it.
Good catch. So, can we make a finding that, E, that, draft contract will be amended to say that amplified noise music will end at 9:30?
Correct.
George, can we capture that? Have a DE rather?
Also in the contract says that, the event can operate until 11 PM, I think?
I think that was just, I think that the whole thing was brought over from an old contract. I think that maybe I just didn't catch those two times.
Okay.
Yeah,
So which is correct?
the
Yeah.
9:30 and 10 is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Before we use that, we haven't used it, that was literally just my first draft. But before we use it, I'll make sure it confirms everything that
Excellent.
we discussed.
And we're gonna put it in writing here. So
Yes.
George, can we put the event will end at 10 PM?
Yep.
There's an A and D after the other one, or separate finding?
We'll combine it.
Okay,
Amplified music to end at 9:30, event time limit is 10 PM.
okay. Clear on the findings of fact? You clear with the findings of fact?
Yes.
Okay. So, having said that, I will take a motion.
I make a motion that, the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for noise and hours of operation. Findings A, events may operate between 9 AM and 10 PM, and the contract that was provided will reflect those hours accordingly. Findings B, amplified music and announcements will cease by 9:30 PM, and the attached contract will be revised to make that change as well, instead of 10 PM. And finding C, fireworks are prohibited, period. And findings D, neighbors who provide an email address will be notified of the season's event dates at least 30 days in advance, and those without an email will receive a notice via mail.
Can we just say neighbors will be more notified?
Perfect.
That way you can notify them however you would like, just
I
make
have
sure.
most of their phone numbers.
Okay.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded with the additions, changes from Brian. Any other comments? If seeing none, raise your hand if you approve. And George, do we need to add these changes when we get to the end, if we need to add them to conditions of approval?
No, there's a catch-all that says that everything has to follow the testimony that he's made, and we will revise those findings to incorporate those changes that clarify things.
Excellent, thank you. Right title or interest. The applicant has sufficient right title or interest in the site of the proposed use to be able to carry out the proposed use. Findings, Wonderwild Farm is owned by David under Castle Rock Development. Deed and proof of ownership was provided with the application. Any other findings?
I would like that to read actually David Thompson.
Okay. So we'll please add Thompson after David. Any other changes to the findings of fact? If not, do I have a motion for approval?
I will move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for right, title, or interest.
Second? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. 3-0, it's passed. Number 8, financial and technical ability. The applicant has the financial and technical ability to meet the standards of this section and comply with any conditions imposed by the planning board pursuant to subsection 7.5. Findings: estimated startup budget, parking prep 1,000, insurance 1,200, permits and fees 225, for a total of $2,425. And B, startup funding is secured through private sources. C, David Thompson brings over 20 years of experience in property management and community planning. D, Wonderwild Farms is positioned for successful and compliant operations in line with local regulations. Any additional findings or comments on those? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for financial and technical ability.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. It passes. We're now on to section 7.4, conditional use review criteria. Compliance with land use ordinances. The proposed conditional use shall meet all applicable criteria and design and performance standards in all articles of land use ordinance. Findings: if the venue meets all zoning performance standards related to noise, access, frequency, and sanitation. And contracts with event hosts required compliance with these regulations. Minor comment: should it say the venue will meet all zoning, or am I just being chicken? Then I'm okay if you say I am, or we'll move on.
Chicken.
Chicken it is. All right. So do I have a motion?
Our motion that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the ordinance criteria and standards.
Second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise your hands for approval. Okay, thank you. This is where it all starts running together for me. Conditions of approval, section 7.5, planning board approval conditions. Upon consideration of the criteria listed in section 7.4, the planning board may, by majority vote, attach such conditions in addition to those required by other provision of this ordinance as it finds necessary to ensure compliance with those criteria and all other applicable requirements of this ordinance. Violation of any of those conditions shall be a violation of this ordinance. And there is one condition, I believe. The project is to be constructed in accordance with plans, maps, diagrams, specifications, textual submissions, and testimony presented by the application and approved by the board. So, any other findings on that? Seeing none, do I have a motion? My turn. To apply the following conditions of,
That's correct.
to apply the following conditions of approval to the permit for conditional use. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further comment? If not, please raise a hand to approve. We're almost there. Planning board decision. The planning board grants conditional use approval of the Wonder Wild Outdoor Wedding Venue at 355 Newellbrook Road, map 5, lot 61.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
Yeah, I think it was. Motion, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, any further comment? All those in favor, please raise your hand. You are done. It is approved.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank you, all
Mr.
of you.
DeBarge will get you the official copies of the conditional use approval. Is there anything else we need to do?
Nope.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you all.
Okay, next is, I believe, Replinova. So if their representative would step to the plate. Please come up, give your name and address.
My name is Eric Day, representing Ripland Old Farm at 1252 Royalsboro Road.
Okay. So the first order of business is a public hearing. Do you have things you want to pass out?
Yes, maps,
Okay.
and these are neighbor, are we calling them
Notices.
signatures? There's no copies though, so I'm not
Okay.
sure who to give those to.
To give those to Mr. Sabar. And while he's doing that, is there anyone who wants to speak in favor or against this? Okay. I still need to open the meeting. So it is now 7:05, and I open the public hearing. Anybody want to speak? Seeing nobody, I will close it at 7:06. Thank you.
Is there two? Nice.
Okay, and the same, while you're doing that, the same rules apply at the end of this when we vote. It takes a unanimous vote
Yeah.
for us to do that. And so, Mr. DeBarge, if you would give a quick overview of this, and then it'll be your turn.
So the applicant came back in April for conditional use for outdoor seating and indicated within that application the intent to do farm fairs and suppers. And the board indicated that was not included in the application in terms of the request. So the applicant is now seeking a change to the approved conditional use to include one or two farm fairs per summer, as well as 3 to 4 farm suppers. The applicant has indicated that the fairs will be held on weekends between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And the suppers will be held, I'm assuming, throughout the week between the hours of 5 to 8 p.m. They've indicated that they expect in terms of the attendance to be between 100 and 200 people for the farm fairs, and then between 50 and 100 for the farm suppers. They have included 2 diagrams, map 1 and map 2, showing the parking for the farm suppers as well as the farm fair events. The suppers will be held in association with the market and the outdoor seating that you propose. Parking will be used in that parking lot with overflow parking behind the greenhouses. And then the farm fair will be out behind all of the greenhouses in that field. I did an air photo diagram to kind of give a clearer picture of that. Is where the parking for the farm fair will be. So the applicant has provided the typical conditional use responses throughout the application. I've incorporated those into draft findings for you, and you can go through those as you did with the last application and determine whether the applicant has met the conditional use criteria.
Okay, anything you'd like to add?
No.
Alrighty. Any questions, general questions before we start going through the checklist?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recuse myself from this because I was not here during the April meeting.
2 separate issues though. I'm not gonna let you, yeah, it's 2
Sorry.
separate.
Not to recuse myself, but
You still like to recuse yourself?
not to make any comments on this application.
Okay, so we're down to 3? You're gonna vote?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we have enough? We still have enough
But
to vote?
actually, can I just say something, because I think this is where you were going. Definitely, if you don't want to, that's fine, but when they came in April, it was a separate subject, right?
Yeah,
This
oh,
is-
were you
this
not,
is
you
a
were not here in
separate-
April, I guess, right?
Yeah, you weren't here for the April, what we did in
Correct.
April, but this
Yeah.
is separate.
Oh, yeah, in
Whole
April,
separate.
in April, they were asking for permission for outdoor seating.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
saw that
is
as part of
different.
this. This is not,
It's,
This is
Yeah,
not,
it's a
seating's
different
not included with this?
application.
oh,
so they asked for permission for outdoor seating for all the time, now they're asking for permission to have farm suppers and so a different use. The seating was to eat out of what I'll call the restaurant, or a snack bar, whatever. And during that, they said, hey, we also do these farm suppers, and we do farm fairs, which are additional uses. So today, we're going to discuss and approve or disapprove.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry for the delay and
Yeah,
the ignorance.
not a
I will
problem.
stay focused and be an active participant.
It's clarification, it's not ignorance.
So, you still need 3 votes for approval. 3 out of 4. So, I guess having said that, any other comments? General comments before we begin the long checklist? Seeing none. We're gonna do the same thing as we did last time? With the other project. So, conditional, in the section 7.4, conditional use review criteria. Number 1 is public health impacts.
Sorry, John,
Go ahead.
what page are you on?
This is page 75 of the packet.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem, thank you. So, public health impact, and these are the criteria that George assembled for us. The applicant submitted some as part of their application, and then George has added to, subtracted from, or changed that. So, back to public health impacts. The proposed use will not create unsanitary or unhealthful conditions by reason of sewage disposal, emissions to the air, water, or other aspects of its design or operation. Findings, trash will be collected in 2 bins with covers at the supper events and disposed of by private hauling contract. Market bathroom is available and regularly cleaned. No impact or air or water quality, and porta potty will be available. Could I, and I don't think this is chicken, can I say that, can we just add on finding A, trash will also be collected for the fair events? It's a minor point, but I'm assuming you're gonna do that.
Yes.
Okay. So George, if we could add to A that it will also, there'll be a system collected at fair events.
Yep.
And there's a bathroom in the building, is that right?
Correct.
And then we'll have a porta potty for
Yeah,
the,
the porta potties for the fair events
yeah,
because of the increased people, and then the supper events, the bathroom on site inside can handle that.
okay.
And well, to start off, you have experience, you've done suppers, you've done fairs,
These
right?
things have all happened
Okay.
in previous years at this point.
Okay,
And
So-
if it gets to 100 people, yeah, we're getting to a point maybe. But we gave that range because just to cover bases, but it's closer to the, 30 to 50, it's more like 30 to 50
okay,
realistically.
okay. Any additional comments on, public health impacts?
I will move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for public health impacts.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, any other discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. On to number 2, traffic safety impacts. The proposed use will not create unsafe vehicular or pedestrian traffic conditions when added to existing and foreseeable traffic in its vicinity. Findings, during the supper events, cars will be entering and leaving at the entrance and exit signs currently at the farm parking lot. Autos will be directed by an employee to parking spots as well as directional parking signs seen in map 1. During the fair events, cars will be entering and leaving at the entrance and exit signs currently at the farm parking lot. Autos will be directed by an employee to parking spots seen in map 2. Additional directional signs will place direct cars to parking spots in field and will have an employee directing this traffic, and expect to have improved safety in the vicinity due to DOT installing a 4-way stop sign at the intersection of Royalsboro, Rabbit, and Quaker Meeting House roads. One comment. One of your signs, I think it was the exit, was leaning badly, and you were only able to see it from one direction. And that may have been fixed. I brought that up at the April meeting, but if it's not, please, get it fixed. And then the other one is the question, what's the impact of all the flashing of the new signs? Do you see, it's only been a month, so I'm just curious.
There's definitely been more people stopping. The commuters tend to stop in the afternoon or the evening commute more so than the morning commute.
You mean you're seeing roll-throughs? Is that what you mean by?
No, I mean
not
stop,
stopping?
stop at the store.
Oh, stop at your
Yeah.
store.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Good.
wrong
Right.
traffic, I'm into are they running
The
the
stop
stoplight?
sign,
Actual-
the new stop sign.
Where's-
Yeah.
The noise from people honking has decreased. The noise from excavation dump trucks is substantially higher because they're using their
There's
Their
also
brakes
and they're
there.
using their,
That's a really good point.
yeah, much.
But it sounds like your
Yeah.
business has increased since.
I mean, I'm not the one to necessarily say just because I'm not manning the store, but anecdotally, yeah,
Yeah, that's good
Good.
news.
more people being like, what? I've never been in here.
Like, move by it.
You've never been in the store?
People who thought, yeah.
Okay, so, any other comments on the findings or additional findings?
Just in finding D, should we include map 1 and 2?
That's up in B.
B is map 1.
I'm sorry,
Oh, okay.
I meant D.
D is map 2, right?
Yes.
So both map 1 and 2 are referenced, is that what you're questioning?
It's up in B, B and,
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
B and D.
Yeah, so they're both.
Oh, I see, he's got, okay.
Yeah.
One listing supper and the other for fair, okay,
Yep.
gotcha, yeah, I'm good.
I don't know, I was gonna bring this up under environmental, but, is it wet back there?
Yeah, in the spring, into even now, but over the years that we've been doing this, we've been pushing that date back further and further
To avoid the
to
wet?
avoid the wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it used to be right around Father's Day. Now, I think it mentions it's going to be early July this
For one of the
this year.
events?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the fair
The
event?
fairs is
Okay.
what I'm talking about. For the supper events, very rarely have we had to use any of the field.
Okay.
It's all kind of in the
Has a wetland delineation been done? I know when, you were building it for the first permit, there was one done. I just don't know if it covered that area, if we know if there's wetlands back there.
I can't speak to it, the technicality of that, but there was one done for the entire property, and that map exists somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know if we wanna think of that at all. So my concern, or my question is if there is a wetland back there, it is going to be wet. Maybe wanna fill it, like with gravel or something possibly, to make it not so wet if you do have a rain event, like right before or something, and then if that's the case, I think you'd need to know if there's wetlands in the area. So just a thought, maybe we could pull up the wetland delineation from
What?
back in when it was first pulled.
I
Well,
have two
sorry.
quick thoughts on it. One is, I don't think it shows now, as, the resource protection map. And two, that is a hayfield, correct?
Right, that's what I was gonna say. It's currently a hayfield.
So I think it's.
But there are wetlands, right? We had you guys built something in a wetland. I think your far south building is in a wetland. That stream,
I'm not sure where you're pointing.
yes.
So that high tunnel, there's a year-round pond right where that
There's a
yellow line is.
wetland
yeah.
in this area, and also there's a drainage that goes down through here. If you look at the National Wetlands Inventory, this is pretty much all wetland right in here.
Yeah.
And you can see in the farm fields, they had the ditching to try to drain that. So pretty much along this drainage course right here and this area right here are wetlands. Again, I haven't seen the field delineation, but the National Wetland Inventory shows pretty much this all being wetland right in here. So as I understand it, you come through here with your traffic and then you come around this way and then out into the field this way. So
Correct,
if there's any wet, this would probably be the area that you can see it's wet from the air
You can see it
photography.
here. I'm just wondering if this is, this is wet, and if it is,
This
doesn't
rises,
matter, right? Like if it is a wetland, if someone went out there and delineated.
as long as they don't alter it.
Well, so would driving through and parking and possibly adding gravel or anything like that?
Well, if they bring in gravel fill, then that's an alteration.
Because the current road, this is the road, right? There was like gravel or something added for
Right
this.
through here.
Right?
Mhm.
So if they do wanna extend that, maybe we either say not allowed unless a delineation is done, or something to consider, right? But first thing I would say is we need to figure out if this is a wetland.
Well, I don't think just because something's wet, it's a wetland.
No, I'm not saying that, but I just don't know if a delineation has been done. It might not be a wetland.
Well, we don't require a wetland for everything, I don't think. I mean, if the wetlands are over here, why would we do a survey somewhere else, is what I'm thinking. What we could say is, we have a picture that shows roughly where the wetlands are per the Fed's map, and define the drive somehow so that it doesn't go in there. You put up string or a caution tape or something like that, that would keep them out of what we know or believe to be wetlands. But I mean, they're haying that son of a gun now, so.
Yeah, the applicant has not requested site plan review to do any site improvements, so.
So no gravel then going in for
There's
the
no
road.
plan to put gravel anywhere in that field.
Okay, and you haven't needed to in previous years.
No.
Okay.
And if you did, would they come back
They would
for
have to.
that?
Well, they would have to follow the DEP rules for wetland alteration. Now, whether or not they need a site permit, that would all depend on how much they were doing.
Okay,
And we just
Okay.
need to go back to
I'm
say.
okay with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that understanding.
okay, I think where did we end up? Still on traffic safety?
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, do I need a motion?
I move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with criterion for traffic safety impacts.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. It passes. Public safety impacts. The proposed use will not create public safety problems which would be substantially different from those created by existing uses in the neighborhood or require a substantially greater degree of municipal services than existing uses in the neighborhood. Findings. The surrounding uses are residential. The only substantial safety problems has been multiple annual auto accidents at the nearby intersection, which hopefully will significantly decrease. For each event fair or suppers, an employee will be directing vehicles to appropriate parking spots to reduce any congestion. No municipal services are required because an employee will be directing traffic and monitoring proper trash disposal. Any additional comments or findings? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll motion that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for public safety impacts.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any additional comments, discussion? If not, please raise a hand for approval. Thank you. Environmental impacts. The proposed use will not result in sedimentation or erosion or have an adverse effect on water supplies. The findings, A, the supper events will be very close to the marketing parking lot, and seating is located on the front porch deck or an area, see map 1, which is level on crushed stone for stability and cleanliness. Use the same areas prior approved for 40 seats. The fair event will take place in our hayfield behind the 3 high tunnels. Events will take place most likely in July, shortly after first cut haying, at a time of year where the field is dry and can withstand a one-day parking event. Water use is not applicable to the supper areas in the field. Well is located far from events. Any additional findings or comments on these findings?
I think for A, we're trying to say the supper events would be very close to the market parking lot. Is that right?
Yes.
Instead of the marketing? Just
Yes.
small, just a small.
A chicken
There.
concept or?
What does that mean?
Well, there's a second word that goes with it that I will not use. on
Yeah,
television.
okay.
Chicken.
Well, I'll tell you after the three TV's off. Very close to the market parking lot. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for environmental impacts.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. It passes. Scale and intensity of use. The proposed use will be compatible with existing uses in the neighborhood with respect to physical size, visual impact, intensity of use, and proximity to other structures. Findings. The suppers near the market are attractive spaces for outdoor seating and a place for band to perform. We have added colorful shade cloths that are put up in the spring and taken down in the fall, under which the musicians and attendees can sit. Added tables and chairs are not easily seen by our neighbors since we have a substantial distance buffer. We have also added a stone retaining wall and planted a flower garden to beautify the seating area. The fair place backfield is 500 to 600 feet from Royalsboro Road and is not well seen from it. Any additional comments on the findings? Any additional findings? Seeing none, I'll take a motion. I move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for scale and intensity of use. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. It passes. On to, and the fact that we had nobody show up for the public hearing. Noise and hours of operation. The proposed use will be compatible with existing uses in the neighborhood with respect to the generation of noise and hours of operation. Okay, so the hours of each event, either fair or supper, have been described in part 2. During the supper events, there may be music which is relatively quiet compared to road noise. Neighbors two across the street and one closest on Meeting House Hill Road will be notified about music for these events. On one such occasion, supper event, there were no complaints, and one of the neighbors that has participated in the charitable event, so that's historical. There has been ample buffering space with regard to noise from the farm and the neighboring residential uses during these events. I'm not sure where would say it's in part 2 that we refer to the hours.
That's what I was gonna ask too.
What is part 2?
That was what was in the application. And I think he's probably referring to the organization of the conditional use application, which I think has part 1 and part 2.
Okay, so yeah, he does. So I'm sorry, I'm not sure which page it is on your computer.
It's on page 63 of your packet.
Page 63, it says, this is from their application. Hours for these events, starting with the fair events, are from 10 to 3 for the public and vendor tent setups on Friday and after 5 p.m. on Saturday. Or Saturday, 8 to 9 a.m. setup times for a Saturday event. Rain out may make up the days the next day, Sunday permitting. Hours for the supper events are from 5 to 8 p.m.
Could we please include that under A?
Yes.
And
I will-
music,
Just for clarification, part 2.
Yeah.
and the music follows those same timelines, right?
We can make it say that. Yeah, we should say that they are the same.
It'd be great to just have the one document, if anybody
Yes,
had
I
any
agree.
questions, to have the one document to look at it, and it's
I
all
agree.
inclusive.
So I think we're saying there's 2 paragraphs under the application where talks to hours. So hours for these events starting with and hours for the supper events are from. So if we include those 2 paragraphs as part of finding A, does that satisfy the need?
Yes, does for me.
Okay, so George, if you could,
Yep, I can do that.
you got it. Okay.
Just a point of clarification, should it say Quaker Meeting House instead of Meeting House Road?
Can we add Quaker in front of Meeting House?
Is there a hill in that?
I don't think there's a hill.
Yeah, I don't think there's a hill.
It's just Quaker Meeting House Road.
Quick meeting house.
Correct road.
Can we put the correct road name there? Thank you. Okay, so we're good. So any other comments? And so that, yeah, so B is the timing on the music and stuff for that is included in A. Any other comments or findings of fact? By the way, if you disagree with any of this, you can
Yeah.
say. Okay,
I
so,
will move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for noise and hours of operation.
I will second.
moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. It is approved. Number 7, right title or interest. The applicant has sufficient right title or interest in the site of the proposed use to be able to carry out the proposed use. Findings, it was established in the final findings of the 2020 conditional use and site review that the applicant has sufficient right title or interest in the site of the proposed use to be able to carry it out. Deed was submitted then, and later the barn and market were completed as proposed. Any comments on the findings or additional findings? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for right title or interest.
I will second that. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand. It passes. Number 8, financial and technical ability. The applicant has the financial and technical ability to meet the standards of this section and comply with any conditions imposed by the planning board pursuant to section 7.5. Findings, resources will be available to add additional employees and rent a porta potty for the fair event. Have been running the farm for nearly 5 years with an average of 8 part-time employees per year. The market and barn were built according to building codes and local requirements. Planning a smooth execution of these events have required much time by myself and a few of my employees. Any additional comments on the findings or additional findings? Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I will move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for financial and technical ability.
Second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand if you vote to approve. It passes. Section 7.4, conditional use review criteria. Compliance with land use ordinance standards. The proposed conditional use shall meet all applicable criteria, design, and performance standards in all articles of the land use ordinances. Then section 5.22, restaurants, food service, takeout stands. So there are some standards that you have to meet. The application for a conditional use permit shall state the maximum seating capacity, if any, of the restaurant. An expansion or enlargement over the stated capacity shall require a permit. All proposed subsurface disposal systems shall meet the main state subsurface wastewater disposal rules. All parking and loading facilities shall be located at the side or rear of the building and shall be screened from abutting residents or those within 200 feet. Screening shall be comprised of continual landscape area not less than 8 feet in width, containing evergreen trees, shrubs, fences, walls, berms, or any combination forming a visual barrier not less than 6 feet in height. Restroom facilities for the patron shall be provided on the premises except for takeout stands. Findings, seating is temporary for the supper events estimated to be adequate for 40. Attendee visitors to the market restroom will be temporarily increased in either the supper or fair event. The market disposal system is added in the past, while additional toilet facilities are added for the fair event. Septic system is maintained, has been pumped out recently, April 2025. Parking is adequate for 50 to 100 vehicle visits over the time of the supper event. We'll use current parking lot extended parking behind the barn and market, while all fair parking is located in the back field. Restroom facility available in market for the supper events and additional porta potty for the fair events. And I believe that's it. Are there any additional findings? Any discussion on the findings? Seeing none, I'll take a motion. I move, okay, go ahead.
No, okay.
No.
I'll move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the standards for restaurants, food service, and takeout seating.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. George, I think we just need to change, there's
Yeah,
3 that got left behind under votes to approve.
correct.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. It is approved. Section 7.5, conditions of approval. Planning board approval conditions. Upon consideration of the criteria listed in subsection 7.4, the planning board may by majority vote attach such conditions in addition to those required by other provisions of this ordinance as it finds necessary to ensure compliance with those criteria and all applicable requirements of this ordinance. Violation of any of those conditions shall be a violation of this ordinance. So there's one finding, the project is to be constructed in accordance with plans, maps, diagrams, specifications, textual submissions, and testimony presented by the applicant and approved by the board. Are there any other conditions? Discussion of that condition? Seeing none?
I will move to apply the following condition of approval to the permit for conditional use.
I will second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise your hand to approve. It is approved.
John, who seconded that?
I did.
Thanks.
Planning board decision, motion made, okay. So, do I have a motion to approve?
So,
Okay.
I think you have to read the words.
okay. The planning board grants conditional use approval for farm events at Replenova at 1252 Royalsboro Road, map 7, lot 113C.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please raise a hand. And it is approved and you are finished. Thank you. And good luck this summer.
Thank you.
Next,
We put that stop sign in just to increase your business.
Yeah, we were looking forward to it. I called the DOT myself personally like 5 years ago, being like, what's being done about this? So, I was
It's good here.
quite happy about it. Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. All right, Ms. Nash, I believe you're next. Please come up and state your name and address.
Right.
And we're gonna follow basically the same, the gentleman with you is welcome to come too,
Oh,
if he wants to.
would you like to come up here?
It's not- We have a microphone for you.
Andrea Nash, 706 Hollowell Road.
Brandon Nash, 706 Hollow Road.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Kabarge, if you would give us a brief description of the project.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, board members, the applicant was before you back in July of last year seeking conditional use approval to expand from an existing home daycare with 12 children to the daycare facility of 20 children. The applicant is now seeking to expand that clientele by another 12 for a total of 32. The approved project included and has been constructed a building addition for the daycare center, and the septic system has been also expanded, and the parking as well. So they are submitting a separate amended site plan review application, as they're gonna have to add 2 more parking spaces to meet the parking requirements. One of the issues that has come up is the fact that by going beyond 24 people using the current private well, they technically trigger the requirement for a public water system under Maine health and drinking water rules. And they have applied to the Maine Department of Health and Human Services for approval of that as a public water supply. One of the criteria for that, as I understand it, based on the record, is that to be approved as a public water supply, any well would have to be at least 300 feet from the septic system. And the HHE 200 wastewater disposal system design form submitted by Bonnie Cobb as part of the earlier application indicated that the existing well is only 102 feet from that septic system. So that may be an issue for them. I did do a little bit of research and found, and the applicant may be prepared to address that tonight, that they do have a provision for waivers, probably will require increased testing, and then another alternative would be to drill a well 300 feet away from the septic system. So there are some options, and you should look for the board to clarify what their plan is. The other issue identified was that same soil evaluation, septic system design indicated that the system that they've just installed has a capacity of 494 gallons per day, just under 500, and that's based on the existing single-family home, the 20 children after the expansion, the last expansion, the two employees. Applying the same standards that the soil evaluator used in terms of gallons per person per day, I did a quick calculation, and it would seem that with adding 12 more children and 1 employee, theoretically they would have to add another 132 gallons a day to the capacity to meet the main wastewater rules. Again, the applicant should be, hopefully will be prepared to address that tonight, either through a combination of their existing septic system or some modification that they're proposing. Then the same conditional use criteria you've been through twice the drill tonight will be applied here. And the last thing I would say is that the board's authority is limited to this proposed change, so you cannot go back and revisit the earlier approval. Just the additional clients and the 2 parking spaces are what is within your jurisdiction tonight. And I did prepare some updated findings from the last time that incorporate that.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question before we get
Yeah,
too far.
go ahead.
Can you clarify what this application, I see I think 3 separate applications here. What are we
So the first application is the conditional use
for?
for the additional 12 children
Okay,
and 1 employee.
okay,
And then the site plan review is for the 2 parking spaces.
okay. The building, I don't know, was there an expansion or maybe
Yes,
that
that's
was?
complete.
That's done already,
Yep.
okay, that is, so that's what George was saying, don't
Yep.
really think about that, okay, got it, thank you very much.
Okay, would you like to add anything to the discussion?
No, I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
Patience.
I know, I've got it. It's been a couple years.
Okay, so I think we just answered what I was gonna say, but, so the 2 things are, you wanna add 12 children and an employee, so that's conditional use. The site plan is 2 parking spaces, there are 2 separate votes tonight, by the way.
Will we do one before the other, is that how we're?
Yeah,
gonna
we'll do the
this?
conditional use and then we'll do site plan,
Okay,
because if we don't approve it, there's no sense
yeah,
doing the other one.
okay.
Okay, so, I think,
I actually have one question.
go ahead.
George, where the septic issue or question regarding the distance between the well and the septic, so that's going to be up to the state, is that correct? Do we have any?
Well,
yeah.
the criteria, you have public health criteria,
Yeah.
which includes drinking water.
Yep,
So if the applicant meets the state drinking water requirements, then technically you can accept that as a basis for approval of the application. At this point, it's not clear what the status of that is, so you should clarify that. If you're satisfied that they will meet the state drinking water standards, then you can give you could give a conditional use approval conditioned upon whatever factors you decide.
okay,
And you have submitted on the May 20th, I don't know if that was part of everyone's packet, but there was a submission by you or your company
Mhm.
to the state septic tank people, correct?
Yes, Jed.
The
Okay,
packet
Yep.
does include an email, which is up on the screen.
Okay,
So
thank you, Jack.
That's still an open issue.
I have another email from Jed right here that says he has submitted the waiver and that It's 102 feet from the leach field, but due to the scope of the project and I don't know, he basically is like, it's kind of a case-to-case decision whether or not they use waivers. He sent it over to the woman this morning to approve the waiver.
woman.
To the woman, I'm not sure what her name is or her
Okay,
title.
So there's no
unfortunately.
final decision yet.
No, I mean, yeah, it's hard for me because I'm not exactly sure what I asked him what to say to you guys in this exact situation, and he's like, tell them that the waiver has been issued for my existing well.
Yeah, so it's been approved. It's been issued.
Well, and then he will submit a setback waiver on my behalf for me.
Okay.
So I already have the registration number. I just haven't started with the testing because there's no point in doing any of the testing if I am not gonna have the additional capacity since I'm under that capacity right now.
Right.
I think my thought on this, since we're down this road, is it really dependent upon the state approval of the waiver, which I guess we need to see more than just that email, but eventually I'm assuming they will issue you a permit. Or, you know, a permit and a waiver.
Right.
Okay, so,
Well, that could be a condition.
for us.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Definitely.
exactly, that's what I'm slowly trying to get to.
Okay.
So as we're discussing this, we could approve it, you know, if we so wish, we could approve it dependent upon you getting the waiver. If
Yep.
you don't get the waiver, your conditional use is not approved. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And
right.
you're okay with that?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I ask a
Well,
question? You
then
said
the choice.
testing. Is there testing that needs to be done?
Yeah, so to be a part of the public water program, there's ongoing testing that needs to be done, sometimes monthly, sometimes quarterly, and it
Okay.
depends on the health of your well.
Okay.
So the way that it works is you have to contract somebody to do the testing. My husband is gonna be licensed to do the testing for us. And then sort of after the initial testing is done, that you kind of pay a lot up front,
Yeah.
that determines the health of your well for a period of time. And then based on the health of the well for that period of time, that's how frequently and what testing needs to be done. So basically, we're prepared for the fact that it's a wide range of possibilities testing wise. But that Jeremiah Haas has told us that we do not need to dig a new well. Our well is pretty new. I'm guessing that's why. And because we're kind of like, we're not so far over the capacity anyway. So yeah, he's comfortable with it, and he told me that he would get back to me with whatever the next steps are early next week, so.
Okay.
So question for the board. So the testing, I guess, that'll be sent to the state
Right.
as over time, right?
Yep.
So two things we can do here. One, we can completely defer to the state, where if they get the permit, good to go. If the testing, or not testing, as long as they have the permit and it's not like, say you get a bad test and the state like revokes your permit.
Yeah,
You probably lose the, or I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
We can completely defer to the state, or are we concerned at all above and beyond what the state is going to say in regards to quality of the water and then the septic
Well,
issue?
it sounds like there's gonna be ongoing testing of that well,
Yeah,
regardless of the situation. If it gets to the point where it fails, I would question whether there is enough distance from the septic to drill an additional well. This is Plan B, if that ever happened.
yes, there is.
Okay.
Yep.
So that would be an option. If the existing well did fail, the option would be having to drill another well that would have to be 300 feet from the
Yeah.
septic.
right, but, I just don't know how
We
the
haven't
state
got
works with this, like,
Well, the state, I think, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, you would, let's just say you didn't have the distance, they would issue the permit, but they're still gonna test because it's a
Right.
public water.
Right.
Exactly.
what happens if they get a bad test?
They.
We
state
have
will-
to correct it. We can't, we
The
would
state
have to,
will
right, they would require us to
make you-
correct it
Okay.
immediately.
And they'll go, yeah,
They'll give me an
water
action
people
plan.
will go
Okay.
to the,
Okay,
childcare people at the state and say they can't.
Okay.
you
Right,
know,
yeah.
Or they have so long to fix it or whatever. it
That's
might be.
probably more
So the
likely.
state, in my mind, state rules on all that. So if you fail the test a year from now, the state's gonna shut you down.
Yeah, right.
Or some.
Or
you
give
have-
me
you
30
a
days
period
or
of time
whatever.
to
Right.
fix it, and if you can't, then they'll shut you down.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you for that explanation.
So, my thought would be when we get to that water, criterion in here, initially, if we're on the track to approve, that we do make it conditional, that they have to get the state approval.
Exactly.
And we can say have to get it and keep it. Because the state, quite truthfully, the state does not give you the approval. Our approval has no meaning, correct?
Oh, right,
No, in this
exactly.
case,
No, I need all the
Right,
stars
right.
to align.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a state.
What were you gonna say? Anything?
Yeah, just to take a step back, so the well currently is too close. It's a public water supply, too close to the existing new septic tank
Hmm.
design system,
It's the leach field, yeah.
leach field. But are they aware that you need to increase your septic design?
So I don't need to increase my septic design. I am going to probably need to have a backup design on file for the pre-existing septic system that my home is currently hooked up to, that is still healthy. So then a brand new system was designed by Bonnie Cobb, so that when that fails in 15 to 20 years, they're expecting, it can tie into the brand new one, and that brand new one will accommodate my brand new expansion and my home. So that will continue to cover that amount. It just won't cover the amount of the entire addition plus my home as a daycare. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the state is aware of that.
So yes,
Is the
yes.
state aware of that, and would they
Mhm.
impose additional restrictions because you're undersized right now?
Yep, so the application for the water program is actually very, very extensive. And, my entire septic design is part of it, so that, they know that, it's just been installed, they know exactly where it is. And he's totally comfortable with the way that it is and submitting a waiver.
Including the future expansion if
Right.
needed.
In the future expansion, in terms of my septic design, would mean I would need to have potentially another septic design made as backup for the small one that's currently servicing my home.
When you say potential, why isn't it like confirmed? It sounds like from what George said is you're undersized right now.
I'm not technically undersized right now. I am full in the new space without using my home. The initial idea was to get the daycare out of our house, have our house back, just use the new space for the 20 kids. But then DHHS said to me, you know what you could do is keep your house licensed for 12 and then continue with 20 in the new space. So that would cause a capacity of 32. And there's a lot of reasons for that. A huge one has to do with ratios and like age caps with teachers and children. So if I'm able to separate the infants and toddlers into my home for a more intimate kind of vibe in there with the infants and toddlers, which is what people are looking for with that age group, then I can do a preschool in my big space with only people who are 2.5 and up. And so basically the people who are still in my house, it's tricky because it's not supposed to be super long term, but I understand that for all intents and purposes, we need to plan it like it's long term, but the plan is to keep the daycare in the house for 5 years. And then once our kids, personal children, are kind of grown up and moved out of the house more, then it'll all be shifted out there. So I'm not expecting that we'll need to ever use a new design for that septic system, but Jeremiah and I have had many conversations about this because I was trying to find out if it made any financial sense for me to do this when DHHS was talking about it, and he made it sound like definitely. It like the way that it's all set up, the fact that it's all brand new, I think, and the fact that I'm being regulated by several different government entities now with testing and inspections. there's not a lot of wiggle room for failure on it. I kind of just, if something comes up, I have to correct it or I'm shut down, kind
Right.
of.
I guess to answer your question, or to confirm
Yeah, sorry, I
that,
really-
no, that's really good, is that, the state is aware of your expansion for both the septic size and the distance between the well and.
Correct. Yep, they know that that these 3 findings were gonna be discussed tonight. So, yeah.
Can I clarify some of the facts, because I stepped out for a moment?
Yes, please.
So as I understand it, the house and the home daycare are still plugged into the existing or the previously existing septic system?
Correct.
And that was installed in approximately 1995,
Yes.
according to the HHE 200.
Mhm.
And the new space addition childcare center is connected to the new septic system currently.
Correct.
Okay, so between the 2 septic systems, you have adequate capacity for the total use?
Correct. I have
Okay.
more than adequate
Yeah,
Okay.
with the 2
Okay.
current.
Okay.
Your numbers are based on one.
yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
I
I
see.
thought it was undersized.
Well,
So
her,
that's why
it
you're
is,
saying
it is
split.
undersized.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, it's undersized if you include the house use, but it's not undersized if it's just for the center, and they are keeping their current septic system. And typically what happens with, you brought up the issue of the design for future, like if you add a bedroom onto your home, the main plumbing code says you have to have a system designed. You don't have to build it, but you have to show that in the event that it fails, you can replace it or expand it. So that's kind of what I think they're talking about. Same principle.
So you currently have, and all this gets triggered because you go from 20, and 24 is the max you can have without becoming a public water system, okay. So currently you have 2 that you believe will be able to serve 32 kids and
Right.
with whatever number of teachers, okay. So my thought is that, depending on what the board wants to do, when we get to that particular issue, that we give them a conditional approval based upon their getting the waiver from the state.
Correct.
So let's, if we're ready to move on to and the parking spaces don't come into site plan approval, which is coming up. Are we ready to, any other questions? I mean, I wanna make sure we've got this covered. Okay. Let's go through one more time. Okay. So amended conditional use approval findings of fact, and Mr. Tabarge did what I believe is a good job of changing what was approved last July to include what we're doing now.
That was gonna be a clarification question. So the strikeouts is from last time that we
Correct.
feel is not current now?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so,
Yes, please.
public health impacts, which is, I guess, the first one. The proposed use will not create unsanitary or unhealthful conditions by reason of sewage disposal, emissions to the air, water, other aspects of its design or operations. And then, George, we probably just need to, as I'm going through these, re-letter them, because we lined through.
Yeah. And
Okay.
also, I'm gonna add number 3, list of submissions, is this email dated June 2nd, 7:42 a.m. From Jeremiah Hawes of DHHS.
So a second email from,
Yeah.
okay. So, findings, the first one is, the Maine Department of Health and Human Services Child Care Licensing approached the applicant about the potential to maximize the number of spots available for the community. The applicant is requesting amended conditional use approval to keep the residential family child care license for 12, while also continuing to provide care to 20 children in the new building. So I would like to add 32 children total, to make sure we're,
Yeah.
for a total of 32 children, if we could. So the third finding is the applicant submitted a subsurface wastewater disposal system design showing that the expansion would meet the main subsurface wastewater rules. The fourth one would be the wastewater disposal system designed by Bonnie J. Cobb. SE, or license number is number 368, dated 11/22/21, and revised 1/28/24, indicates that the existing well is located approximately 102 feet from the proposed daycare system versus the 300 feet required for public water systems. So the applicant, whatever this is, the fifth or sixth, the applicant is registered with the Maine Public Water Supply Program, is prepared for the ongoing water testing, well system maintenance that is required for a parcel that supplies more than 24 people.
Mr. Chairman, back under F, I would propose adding a statement at the end that says that the applicant has applied for a waiver of the well setback.
Okay? Is everybody okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent, thank you. So F, what shows up as F is the wastewater disposal system designed of Bonnie J. Cobb, so on and so forth. And after required for public water systems, it would say the applicant has applied for a waiver from whatever the Department of Health is there. Is that what you're saying, George?
Yep.
I like your words better. The applicant is registered with the Maine Public Water Supply Program, is prepared for the ongoing water testing and well system maintenance that is required for a parcel that supplies more than 24 people. The applicant has lined up a contract operator, is in communication with the Public Water System Inspector for Edgewater County. The septic system that is currently tied to the home will continue to serve the residential family, child care in the home. The applicant has stated that the new building, which is L, is tied into the previously approved new septic design. The septic systems on the parcel are already designed to accommodate more than 32 children and subsequent staff required. The wastewater disposal system designed by Bonnie J. Combs, license number 368, dated 11/22/2021 and revised 1/28/24, indicates that the new system is designed for 494 gallons per day, based on the 3-bedroom home using 250 gallons per day, 20 kids using 200 gallons, and 2 employees using 24 gallons. Per the septic designer's calculations, adding 12 kids and 1 employee would need a capacity of 120 gallons for the kids and 12 gallons per day for the employee, or 132 gallons per day beyond the current septic design.
Mr. Chairman, I think you can strike that one. Because they've addressed that with the current septic system, handles the house and home daycare up above,
Yeah.
and then the new septic system is serving the
Okay, if
new
everybody's
daycare center.
fine with that, because I was gonna recommend
Yeah,
change.
we
I
need
agree.
all of that
Yeah, this is-
additional
this is-
info.
So we're gonna line through what is M
Correct.
on George's draft findings.
Correct.
Okay, so I think, is this a time to put in the
I think we
conditionally
can-
approved, or we do it at the end?
I think we would put that in at the end. I'll make a note
Okay.
right now.
So my question is this a place for a conditional, if we want to do that, conditional approval based on getting the waivers approved? So, based on all of that, do I have a motion to approve?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
B, it says the Maine Department of Health and Human Services Child Care Licensing approached the applicant. So I had to reread that, so they came to you? and-
Well, my licensor comes to me quite often.
Okay,
Yes.
and they recommended?
Yes,
or like-
it was just her idea,
Okay.
basically. She was like, hey, you know what you could do? This would solve a lot of issues because of children and ratios and the need is so heavily younger children, like
Okay.
toddlers and infants.
Okay, so that is what that means?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm assigned a specific licensor.
Okay. I think I had something else here, sorry, hold on. I think definitely getting rid of M, this is a little confusing, all of these things in here. It's almost like we should have just one longer paragraph that you've got 2 systems, 2 separate areas, daycares, but I guess everything said and done, you are not over capacity,
Right.
right, per the separate ones.
Right.
So that's what we're saying here.
In the septic system.
Yeah, regarding regarding septic, okay, and you talk about the space between the well and the septic, so I think I'm okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I will move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for public health impacts.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, for further discussion, I guess. We don't discuss the waiver, but, you know, in paragraph F, what we're saying is that it doesn't meet, the 102 doesn't meet the 300.
Right, but then we added a statement that said the
Right
applicant
after
has applied for a waiver of the well setback.
Okay,
And then
so that will
we'll
then meet
put it in
the,
a
okay,
condition of
Right.
approval at the end.
that works for me. So I have a motion and a second?
Need a second.
Yeah, we already done.
Yep.
Okay, in that case, any further discussion other than mine? Seeing none, please raise your hand to approve, and it is approved. Traffic safety impacts. The proposed use will not create unsafe vehicular traffic or pedestrian traffic conditions when added to existing and foreseeable traffic in its vicinity. The applicant stated that there will be an increase in traffic during drop-off and pickup times of 4 to 6 vehicles. The applicant proposed widening the driveway to add parking spaces and prevent vehicles from backing on to Hallowell Road.
Sorry, John, can I ask a question? We're talking about the parking spaces in the site plan review. What are we talking about here? Are we even looking at a site plan
I
for
think-
this?
Yeah, just making sure that there is adequate parking for traffic safety purposes.
That we,
So that's it, cause I don't even know, like, the map, you know what I mean? Like, how do I say this? I don't know what I'm reviewing in this
Yeah,
section.
no, they made a statement in the record that there will be an increase in traffic, and this was for the original expansion.
right.
And I guess it would be helpful for them to update this, because that was for the original. Now, has that changed in terms of the, during pickup and drop-off times? Has it increased from 4 to 6?
No,
Okay.
No,
Still
and-
4 to 6 during the peak time?
right.
No.
And we have a parking lot
Adding
out
12
back.
Adding 12 to the overall does not increase the
I'm,
traffic.
well, yes, it will increase the number of traffic. The worry is during drop-off and pickup time that sort of corresponds with Durham Community Schools beginning and ending, was causing traffic before the expansion was completed. It had been causing traffic to be complicated at those times, but those specific times are actually earlier and later than my drop-off and pickup, so it's only 4 to 6 cars for those times. And I mean, I'm estimating, I can kind of figure it out based on my sign-in sheets, I guess.
So I think the George point, though, is that 4 to 6 was last July.
Yep.
What about now? To go to Brian's comment, what additional vehicle increase do you see with an additional 12 plus a teacher?
So if I actually fill my capacity, I shouldn't need to add a teacher because of the ratio thing. It's really complicated to explain. I shouldn't need to add an adult, but I'm planning to just have 8, actually. I know, it's just so
Okay, so let me
complicated.
go back to, so if we approve
Mhm.
an additional 12 students,
Mhm.
what does that mean for traffic?
So there might be another car or two each day for drop-off and pickup time, but the way that it's set up is a parking lot has been built.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I'm still, I'm a one step.
Sure, I'm with you.
So what I would recommend is the applicant stated that there will be an increase in traffic during drop-off and pickup times of 1 to 2 vehicles.
Okay.
Because we're talking solely about this extra 12
Yep,
kids.
sure.
Is
that makes
everybody
sense.
okay with that?
Yeah, I do have a question though, just the math. So we're adding 12 kids. I guess a lot of them might be siblings.
Right.
But up to 12, there's only 1 or 2 extra cars?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, it is
Okay.
complicated. Several of them are my employees' kids.
okay.
Several of them are my personal children. Then I have, they get on and off the bus to go to school. I guess that doesn't
it
come
kind
down
of fits.
drop
The
off.
last time was 20, right? An increase of 20?
Right.
4 to 6?
Well, it was an increase of
20 kids.
8, because I already had 12. I was adding 8 to get
Oh.
to 20 out in the building, so it wasn't gonna add too much at that time, because it was only adding 8 children.
But that was 4 to 6.
Right.
And we're adding 12, and we're saying 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So, I mean, what number would be too much, I guess? I mean,
I don't think there is. I think we just want reality.
I think that's
we
real.
just-
I really
okay.
do. Because like I said, I have 2 of the infants are coming with my staff, 2 of the toddlers are coming with my staff, 2 of the children are my own. It's just the way that it works out. It just, yeah.
Okay, so how about if we just say 2 to 3?
Sure.
Because that doesn't impact my decision. Is everybody else okay with that?
Yeah, whatever it's gonna be.
I am.
Okay, so the applicant proposed, the next one is the applicant proposed widening the driveway to add parking spaces. So that was before, that was in July, and you've done that. So what we'll probably need to do is.
Not really, because what ended up happening was we built a parking lot. And it was
Yeah.
kind of in like a different location. It wasn't like, we didn't end up widening necessarily my driveway. We sort of
Okay.
created a road down behind the building, so it's.
Okay, how about we say the now existing, parking plan accommodates, and prevents vehicles from backing onto Hallowell Road.
Right.
How's that? That's what
Yes.
you've now.
Is that
That's
what
the
we're trying to
concern.
get at?
Yes.
Yeah, I think what we're just trying to say
That was the
is,
concern.
I don't even know if we have to address this, since it's already been covered. I'm looking towards George.
Yeah, this is all covered.
Okay.
You're
So
just,
we don't need, we can just
all we
delete
need to do
B?
is focus on the 2. This is a change to what was
I got you.
previously
Should we just delete B?
No, I would leave it in there because that was part of the record.
So we're leaving in things?
Yeah, I think we can just take out things that are no longer pertinent.
Can we just say then what you were going,
Yeah, I would
vehicles
just
do not
say,
back onto
the applicant
Hallowell.
widened the driveway, he didn't change the parking layout to add parking spaces and prevent vehicles from backing onto Hallowell Road. Is
Yes.
that okay?
Mhm.
Because that's what you did. You left the driveway, but you,
Added parking spaces.
yes, modified,
Or just say the applicant added parking spaces.
Period, right?
to prevent vehicles,
Prevent,
okay.
right.
So the applicant added parking spaces to prevent vehicles from backing onto Hallowell Road. If we're all okay with that, and I don't think we need to, I think we can say a concept was submitted showing the location, we don't have driveway. How about, can we just delete a concept was submitted?
You can.
Okay, everybody else is okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, so the project requires site plan review for just parking expansion. Because the building's already done.
Agreed.
I'm on number 7, or no, number C. Correct? The project requires site plan review for the parking expansion.
That was from last time, right?
No, I'm changing it for this time,
Okay,
because
okay.
we've already done the building.
Okay, okay. That's correct,
Yep.
but not building,
There's no building.
that's right.
Okay. And so the site distances, we agree, they have not changed from last time, we thought it was okay. Actually, we added a new E, I guess. And they do, it's on their drawings for 475 feet in both directions. Hallowell Road is still a state route that should be addressed at this time. In July, you stated that a parking policy section, did you add that parking?
In my handbook, you mean? Like in my family policy?
So that's gonna be has been added.
Yeah, just so it's already done. Stated that a parking policy section has been added. Because we're going back to it's done. Is everybody good with that change?
Yes.
Acorn Engineering has concluded the applicant will need a total of 11 parking spaces. Okay, we're gonna get in additional 2. We'll put it in compliance with the site plan review parking standards, and we're gonna actually review the site plan, next. Is there anything else we want to add, change, delete?
To
George,
this
you,
section,
to this section too, was that traffic safety?
I've got all those changes you.
You do? Okay, then I need a motion. I will move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for traffic safety impacts.
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion. Seeing none, please raise a hand for approval. Moving on to public safety impacts. The proposed use will not create public safety problems which would be substantially different from those created by existing uses in the neighborhood or require substantially greater degree of municipal service than existing uses in the neighborhood. Okay, A, the applicant stated that due to the size of the proposed capacity increase, this project will not create any public safety problems.
is that in the wrong section?
A,
I'm sorry, I'm still on traffic, but I just feel like we covered a lot of that above, but I guess we just say public safety.
on this one, yes.
Okay.
And then the applicant stated that daycare building sign will not be visible from the road. I think there's no change to that, right? Can we just drop B?
Well, you can. Another way to look at it is, are these facts still relevant?
Okay, so they're still relevant with the changes they want to make. Okay. It still appear to be a single-family residence. Okay, everybody okay with B as is? Okay, the applicant stated the proposed use will not require any additional degree of municipal services than the current use. And then, F, the applicant stated the backyard is fenced in and will be located on the site plan. So for public safety, it's still there.
It is located.
Yeah, she says, I think the applicant stated the backyard is fenced in
And is located.
and is located. Excellent. Anything else on public safety?
Just one thing on A, the applicant stated that due to the size of the proposed capacity increase, this project will not create any public safety problems. Are we saying that due to the minimal size? Like
So
why?
I didn't change that, that's
Yeah,
from the original
there you go.
one, so
But what were you trying to say there? Due to the minimal, like small?
The relative size.
Yeah, what I take it is that those 12 kids are not gonna be a greater danger to the public or themselves.
hopefully not.
We will.
Okay.
Okay, so a motion?
I will move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for public safety impacts.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand. It is approved. Environmental impacts, the proposed use will not result in sedimentation or erosion or have an adverse effect on water supplies. Finding, the applicant stated that the project will not change the landscape of the property as it currently exists. The applicant stated there's a watershed on the opposite side of the property, off your property, which will not be impacted by the project. So nothing you're gonna do here is gonna change, have an impact on that. The small stream along the northern side of the property is far from where construction will take place. The applicant provided a screenshot of the website GIS coverage showing resource protection on a water course, along a water course just north of the property boundary. That was last time, but it still applies. And no setback is required for a septic system from a resource protection district. Any other comments on findings?
When we talk about environmental impacts and water supplies, we are talking non-drinking water, that's covered in that first topic.
Right.
Yes, this is stream, erosion of the
Yeah,
stream.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Any other comments on findings? Seeing none, motion?
I'll make a motion that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for environmental impacts.
Thank you, second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. On to number 5, scale and intensity of use. The proposed use will be compatible with existing uses in the neighborhood with respect to physical size, visual impact, intensity of use, and proximity to other structures. Okay, so the applicant stated that the project is designed such that it will not be visible to the community as it will be built on the back of the existing structure.
Can we say that it is designed and it is built already? We're not changing any of that.
Well, my thought would be the 2 parking places, but I can go either.
But we're
either
not
way.
talking about the 2 parking places right now. That's mixed, right? This is just the kids.
Yeah, but
Like, this is already built. The project is designed and it's not visible to the community, right? So,
is not visible, that it is not visible.
it's not, yeah, the applicants, or,
Still relevant.
it is relevant, I guess,
Yeah.
I'm just, the way it's,
It's the future versus the way it exists today.
Something to do with barnyard fowl.
what?
Chicken.
All of these things, oh, did I get that? No. It's like we're saying it will not be visible. It's not visible now. We're not changing that at all. Like, it either is or it isn't, right, currently.
I'm good.
Okay.
Is everybody else good? Doesn't, okay. B, the surrounding uses are residential with the exception of Durham Community School, which is very similar to the proposed use on a much larger scale. There is fencing around to ensure that everyone stays safe. The new parking area will be aesthetically landscaped. Can we just say the new parking area is aesthetically,
I would agree, but, you know, it could be chicken.
I have not called you chicken. Unlike
I'm not calling you chicken.
my feelings were
I'm
hurt
just-
earlier, sorry. Is everybody, is aesthetically landscaped?
Yes.
How about if we just say the new parking area is aesthetically landscaped? Because it's not, it's changed, it's, you were gonna use a bigger driveway, you're not doing that anymore.
What kind, yeah.
The new parking area is aesthetically landscaped, period. Okay. There is not any signage visible, or you're not gonna add any, there will not be any signage visible from the road that this daycare remains discrete, so you're committing to the fact you're not gonna add signage on this one.
No, I don't want to.
Okay, so we can leave the will not, I'm okay with leaving the will not. Any additional noise from children playing outside will continue to be masked by the dense tree line around the property and blend in with the sound of children playing at the Durham Community School. Okay, so those extra 12 kids are not gonna make it that much noisier. The applicant submitted a photograph of the home and proposed driveway. Did you do that this time?
What?
You could probably drop that one.
The applicant submitted a photograph of the home and proposed driveway expansion as documentation. You did this time?
a proposed driveway, so.
Yep, so we get rid of that, and that's it. Based on the changes we made, if we're all understanding, do I have a motion?
A motion that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for scale and intensity of use.
Thank you, second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. It passes. Noise and hours of operation. The proposed use will be compatible with existing uses in the neighborhood with respect to the generation of noise and hours of operation. So, the applicant stated that business will be open from 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, the same hours as the existing business. The proposed use may add a small amount of noise as children play in the outdoor space of the property, but it is expected to be a minor increase. Sound of children playing at the Durham Community School can already be heard in this area of Hollowell Road. Any comments, changes to the findings? Seeing none, take a motion.
I'll move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criteria for noise and hours of operation.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further comment? If not, please raise your hand to vote, and it passes. Right title or entrance, the applicant has sufficient right title or entrance in the site of proposed use to be able to carry out the proposed use. and the applicant is the owner of the property, and we went through that back in July, it hasn't changed, so. Any other comments, findings on this one?
I'll move that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of compliance with criterion for right, title, or interest.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Seeing none. Raise your hand to approve. Okay, it passes. Financial and technical ability. The applicant has the financial and technical ability to meet the standards of this section that comply with any conditions imposed by the planning board pursuant to section 7.5. So on A,
I think some of these are old.
yes, I don't know, the project is estimated to cost $250,000, which is not, that included new septic.
I hope not.
So what do you think it's gonna cost?
Uh,
What is your estimate?
$0.
You don't, adding any asphalt or stone or?
Or
Also-
yeah, right. I mean, we will be adding some gravel for the parking spots if this is approved, that already exists on our property, that we would just move over there and smooth it out.
So you're gonna do it with your wheelbarrow and,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not gonna take much.
okay, I'm okay with that.
So,
So the project is,
sorry, is it, excuse me, is it safe to say that you received your grant?
Oh, yeah, yep.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, we have the grant, we have the loan, and we completed that project. It ended up costing us $280,000.
280,000?
So then the additional costs, well, the financial, the added financial capacity would be for the testing of the water system?
True.
So wherever that's gonna be.
hmm And, yeah.
I don't think we need to put anything with the parking. Again, this isn't about the parking,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
that's all
it's also
covered.
gonna be
So
pretty
any
good.
new cost,
Well,
that
that
I
is-
can see is
Mhm.
testing the water system. You're not adding your to a septic system, right? Yeah.
Right.
Did they give you any estimate on annual?
It's such a range because it depends on so many things. I think it's anywhere from $50 a month to like $400 quarterly. So it just really depends on,
$600, should be under $2,000 if I'm doing my math correctly.
yeah,
The additional cost is estimated to be approximately, is less than $2,000
less than
annually.
2,000.
Okay, George, so the additional cost is estimated to be less than $2,000 annually for testing. Additional cost for testing is estimated to be. Is that okay?
2,000?
Yeah, so it's.
Annually?
Maximum of 2,000 annually.
And I also updated the project was constructed at $280,000, because that helps establish that they have financial capacity.
Okay, so the project was completed, so you're talking about A, you wanna change something to say that they've already spent $280,000?
Yeah, the project was constructed at $280,000 and including the new septic system and parking plan, and added costs will be estimated to be $2,000
Okay,
annually.
everybody good with those, with that verbiage? I don't think we need B, or you don't think we need B or C?
Nope.
Agreed.
Okay, so the only thing we have is, what George just read for A.
I will motion that the applicant has satisfied a reasonable burden of proof of compliance with the criterion for financial and technical ability.
A second?
Moved and seconded, further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve. Okay, compliance with land use ordinance standards, the proposed conditional use shall meet all applicable criteria and design and performance standards in all articles of the land use ordinance. Article 5, performance standard, the project conforms with the following applicable standards, specific uses and issues. B, it shows as B is daycare centers are a separate conditional use and are not subject to limitations for a home-based business. And that is all. Is there anything else?
Because we don't have anything in here for daycare, right?
Correct.
Correct. So any other conditions on this one? Performance standards? Motion, please?
I'll make the motion that the proposed conditional use meets all applicable criteria and design or performance articles in all articles of the land use ordinance.
Second.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand if you approve. Okay, so last but not least, conditions of approval. It's not last, second last. Conditions of approval. Upon consideration of the criteria listed in subsection 7.4, the planning board may by a majority vote attach such conditions in addition to those required by other provisions of this ordinance as it finds necessary to ensure compliance with those criteria and all other applicable requirements of this ordinance. Violation of any of these conditions shall be a violation of this ordinance. The condition that's on there now is the project is to be constructed in accordance with plans, maps, diagrams, specifications, textual submissions, and testimony submitted by the applicant and approved by the board. And number two is, I want to get the verbiage right, that
Approval
this
is subject to the Maine Department of Health and Human Services approval of a waiver of the well setback and issuance of a public water system permit.
Everybody good with that verbiage? That works for me. Are you good with that? Okay, that works for me. So, a motion, anything else? If not, a motion, please?
I will move to apply the following two conditions of approval to the permit for conditional use.
I'll second it. So it's been moved and seconded. Any additional comments, any discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand. Okay, that is approved. So final one is our planning board decision. The planning board grants conditional use approval of the expansion of the Kids Next Door daycare subject to the adopted conditions of approval. Are you comfortable with everything we've talked about and added and subtracted?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I just made a motion. The vote, that's two times in a row.
Second.
It's been moved and it's seconded. Any further discussion? If not, please raise a hand for approval. And you're done this time. So good luck with it.
Thanks.
Thank you for the
Yes,
patience.
definitely.
And,
Don't go farther.
oh, we still can.
Yeah.
Okay, site
I was
plan.
gonna go with it though.
Okay, so we'll take a 2-minute break if you would like. So this actually would approve your plan for 2 additional parking spaces. Assuming we approve it. And I can tell you, Acorn does a good job for you. I mean, this makes our job
Yeah.
a whole lot easier.
It makes my job a lot easier too, believe me, once I finally bit the bullet.
I suspect they're not cheap, but
You just
Oh,
have to
no.
sign the check.
Yeah,
But I
we'll
do
keep
appreciate
paying for it.
you using
The
them
revenue
as
stream coming in.
hand drawn, particularly when you're talking about septic separations and other stuff, it just
Ah.
makes it a little bit easier, and this is what's in the record, so
Yeah.
build it that way, take it to the building codes guy that way,
Right,
and down the road, somebody, go to sell it or whatever, we're good to go.
yeah, it's all there, like the surveyor, they kind of all work together, the engineer, it was cool how they kind of like from all different, you know,
Not everyone does it, it does tend to make it a little bit easier, so.
yeah.
Doesn't mean we're gonna approve this, but
Yeah, fair enough.
it makes
It
getting
was
the
required
decisions.
of me, so,
Just wait for a second. Now, does your head count decrease in the summer or increase during the summer? I mean, it's the same kids go 365.
I have a lot of DCS teacher families, so in the summertime, I have an agreement with them where they pay half their rate and they get to come for a couple
Keep
days a
sitting.
week. Yeah, keep their spot.
Yeah, okay. So Acorn, I was just saying, Acorn there has done a good job, I think, on laying this out. They show the additional 2 parking spaces for a total of 11. And I think that's kind of where we are. It's drawing C10, I think, covers all the 2 additional parking spaces, which are those stone parking spaces that are towards the front of your property.
Right.
Any questions on
Where are
it?
they?
Right here.
Oh,
So they're just stone.
oh, okay, they're big.
I know, I thought that too. Don't they look massive?
They do, I mean, compared to your building.
I think that there's a certain measurement that he needs to make sure there's enough space for, and so he just sort of like overlays that piece to make sure that there's adequate, because it also is like turnaround space and like swinging out space, or I'm not sure. He's the engineer.
Any questions or comments on the site plan?
Those trees, those are proposed, the evergreens, or are those already existing?
Yeah, those are not existing yet.
Okay, so those are proposed to
Yep.
buffer
Right.
okay.
New parking
Mhm.
Well,
spaces?
they were approved as part of the first plan, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay, but you're gonna be putting those in?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to clarify though, do they have to be evergreens?
Probably, yes.
Year
Does it have
round.
to do, right, so it has to do with,
Deciduous or?
right, okay.
This-
It's not like a specific, like those specific plants that I have to put
Oh,
there.
like, arborvitae.
I don't think our landscape, we don't have a landscape that has to be
I don't think there's
arborvitae or
standards.
balsam or,
Just something that will buffer.
you know, the
Uh,
intent, so, yeah, make
Yeah, it
sure.
says it on here, it says
Arborvitae or approved equal.
Or approved equal, interesting,
6 to
okay.
8, like it's the feet that's important, the height,
Height, okay.
and
Thickness.
evergreen.
Yeah, sort of like the density of it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, the density, yeah.
Any other comments about the site plan? If not, I will take a motion to approve or disapprove the site plan.
Is this all we, this it? Like,
This is it. George just,
You can do that.
was that?
what?
I did include findings within the packet,
Oh, did you?
and if you just wanna go over
Like 20 of them?
the new findings, of which there are about 6 maybe.
I knew it was too busy.
Right.
Too good to be true.
You said you.
Page 102 of the packet,
First time I had my hearing tested, my wife made me go. And the audiologist said, "Why are you here?" And I said, "Because my wife made me go." I said, "You know, she thinks I have a problem." She said, "Well, what she's learned was that people have an ability to tune out what they don't want to hear.
Selective hearing.
It's selective hearing. Not that I didn't want to hear the fact that I'm going to go through this thing." Okay.
So
Make
do we
this
have to look
condition-
at, do we have to look at
Okay,
submission
so here's a
pictures?
suggestion here, to make it a little bit quicker and easier. Okay, if you just focus on the ones where there have been changes, and that there are underlined the ones with the new findings, the rest of them, we can go back to the earlier decision and put in those same decision points.
Okay, I may have done something with it, I may not have it available, because that's,
Right here if you want.
Do we need to look at submission requirements?
Really, the only change in this thing is those 2 parking spaces, so. I haven't included the 2, the updated cover letter, which explains it, and then the updated plan set is included as submissions.
okay, I may not have your conditions of approval, George, I may not have
I,
brought them with you. Somebody wouldn't mind going through them?
I can walk you through them.
yeah.
Oh, why don't you
that
walk,
would
why
be-
don't
that
you?
would be
Yeah,
great.
I will. Okay, so the
And
2.
sorry, George, one thing, sorry.
Yeah.
Please remind me, it's up to our discretion as to what is required here, right? Like, we have a whole list of things needed for site plan, but
Right.
it's
Well,
up to
But
us.
again, all this is for the change, the amendment to the site plan.
Just the 2 parking
So the
spaces.
drill is to make sure that this change to the site plan doesn't violate any of the site plan review criteria.
So it's like amended. This is
Yes,
like
this
an
is
amended
just
site
an
plan.
amended site plan. So what I've done, just to create
Yeah,
a
okay.
clear record, is taken the prior site plan findings, and we're just adding the new ones and what the changes are. So what I will do is walk you through the changes, and then you can vote whether that changes anything in terms of its compliance, so,
Do you want me to do this?
okay?
Go ahead and crank her up.
Does that work?
George. Yeah, if you don't.
Okay, so the first thing is I have indicated they did submit the cover letter that explains the project, changes, and the updated site plan with the 2 parking spaces added. That's the only change. So the question is, Are those acceptable?
Where, you're at 1?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so this is all we did.
Submissions. Are those adequate for you to accept that they are proposing these changes? And have they provided you with enough information to make a decision?
Yes.
If so, make a motion.
Someone make a motion?
A motion that the applicant has met the submission requirements for site plan approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise your hand to approve. Next, please.
Okay, so I did, on utilization of site, indicate that it's now 32 child capacity. That's the only change. And then added the number 6, to accommodate additional enrollment. The applicant proposes adding 2 employee parking spaces based on the calculation by Acorn Engineering. The spaces will measure 9 by 18 feet. That's where the size comes in. And will be located behind a landscape buffer on the southwest corner of the project site across from the existing parking. So again, does that change the compliance of the project with site plan review, criteria, standards? If it doesn't, then you can make that motion.
Motion to site plan reflects natural capabilities.
Sorry, I want to talk about this stuff, but go ahead if you want.
Of site to support the development, building and parking are located on suitable land, environmentally sensitive portions of site have been avoided and protected, and natural drainage is maintained to the maximum extent practical.
The parking spaces, are they just for employees?
That's how we're gonna use them.
Just employees?
Right.
Not anyone else, okay. And then, George,
But do we have a motion, right?
Yep, you do.
Need a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion?
okay, yes,
Mhm.
thank you. There's some of these things that aren't applicable anymore, some of these.
Well, again, all we're doing is amending their prior approval, which included all of these findings.
Okay, so different than what we just did,
Sort of, yeah.
because we
'Cause
crossed a lot of stuff out.
We did. I don't think we need to do that tonight.
Okay, apologies.
Yep.
about that.
No
Okay,
problem.
sorry.
Good to know.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved, seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise your hand to approve. It is approved. Thank you for doing this.
So there have been no changes on B, and I will just go back to the prior approval and reinsert those
Should
prior
we,
decisions.
okay, so adequacy of road system, we do need a vote?
Do we need a vote?
Okay, what
There's
I'm
no
suggesting
changes.
is I can go back to the earlier vote on that. Since it's not changing, we can just take the prior approval of that criterion from their current site plan and put it in this
Mhm.
decision.
I would agree with that if we're leaving everything in here.
I'm good.
Do you follow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so B doesn't change, C doesn't change, you don't need to make any decision on that. We'll go by the prior findings and decision. Internal vehicular, that doesn't change. E does change. And number 5, add another finding, which is the applicant proposes adding the 2 parking spaces behind the buffer. Again, same language.
I'll make a motion that the proposed parking meets design standards for setbacks, aisles, and parking spaces, prevention of damage to lighting and landscaping, and for safe pedestrian access.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please raise a hand to approve. Done. Moving on to utilities.
No changes on utilities, no changes on lighting, no signage proposed, no changes on fire protection, no changes on general buffering standards, no changes on historic and architectural resources, no changes on financial capacity or technical ability. So we will just keep those instated as they were before.
Okay.
Which takes you to decision.
Okay.
So this additional cost for this project is already, or the 2 parking spaces is already included in the $280,000 that we talked about before.
Yes,
I think
Okay.
they said there's, gonna be no additional cost to this.
But that was
for this
including
parking
those
spaces.
spaces.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we're to the decision paragraph.
This one here.
Yeah, so planning board decision.
I do have a condition, do we have any?
Just that the project is to be constructed in accordance with the plans, maps, diagrams, specifications, text submissions, testimony presented by the applicant.
I'd like to propose that we consider a condition B, that the trees are planted, the buffer.
That is part of that condition.
Okay, but it wasn't last time.
Yeah, it's on the site plan. They're supposed to put it in.
Right, but it wasn't last time when it was in.
They-
It was in last time in.
They had a site, you approved a site plan
Yeah.
that included that buffering.
Yeah.
And-
But it wasn't done, I
It
think.
wasn't.
Well, that's an enforcement issue, not a condition
Okay.
issue.
Oh, okay.
So please do
Okay.
it.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, we were just sort of waiting on this, because this came up halfway through the project.
We kind of weren't sure where the parking was gonna end up and like what was happening with the house part of the business, so
Okay.
that is definitely part of the plan I would like to
So
have.
we don't need to add it?
No.
Okay.
More plants is better for me. Mhm.
Okay, so I will make a motion, again, then you'd have to change the name this year, George.
Yep.
The planning board grants site plan approval of the Kids Next Door daycare site plan application, subject to the following conditions of approval to be noted on the site plan. So you have to put it on your site plan, okay?
Okay.
The project is being constructed in accordance with the plans, maps, diagrams, specifications, textual submissions, and testimony presented by the applicant and approved by the board.
Second?
Okay, don't have to change any names. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please raise a hand to approve, and it is done. Thank you. And good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your thoroughness.
Thank
The
you
application.
guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we truly appreciate you all submitted package.
Yeah, it made it easy from our end also. So thank you guys very much.
And good luck.
Thank you. This microphone died.
Okay, George, it has gotten late. Do we,
I can just give you a quick,
a short
Yeah.
version?
yeah, and just pretty much talk about the process. So the select board endorsed, the staff is gonna deal with 139 technical correction issues. I listed in your packet 14 minor policy issues that you're gonna need to work with us in terms of vetting those over the next 6 months. And going, by the end of the year, we need to get a draft to them of whatever changes we're gonna make. Some of these, as Juliet, I know, and Brian were probably here when we attempted to fix all the craziness of the road and backlot and everything else. So a lot of that research I've already done and am prepared to submit it to you for review. Basically, right now you've got this crazy system of backlot, multiple backlot, road maintenance agreement, and nothing is just all over the place, and it's very confusing. The road standards are still tied to the old repealed growth policy, so that's like, I've already got the package all together for that. And now I'm going through and getting, I've come up with the solution for the solid waste containers. I've got language ready to go for that. So I think we can get through this stuff between now and Labor Day, present it to the select board for a public review process, and then do that public input process and be ready to get this stuff into the codification for next year's town meeting. So that's kind of, we had talked about the process, I just wanted to give you an update where it is. And you, depending on what we get for applications, I could put some of that stuff onto the July agenda. If that agenda gets heavy, you may want to think about doing a workshop.
Can you confirm the items that the planning board should be looking at this year are 1 through 14?
Well, that is pretty much up to the select board,
Okay.
and they are going to be hopefully scheduling something for the leadership of the various boards like we've done in the last
Yeah.
couple of years, to try to set a priority. I think the issue will be, you know, is the codification and dealing with these 14 issues as much as the system can process.
Because then we also have the 9.
Yeah, and the intent here is to put off those 9 until after this is done.
Okay. Okay.
So this time next year,
Start next year.
I mean, after the town meeting.
After the town meeting, start going, and again, they have to prioritize what do they want to work on. I know the Agricultural Commission is working on some stuff, the Conservation Commission is doing an open space plan, so they'll need to look at what all these different balls that are in the air, where they all fall and what the priorities are. So over the next few months, I'll be starting to give you these packages. And you can start processing them, make sure you're comfortable with them, make changes, and then submit something back to the select board, say, you know, here, I'll do a report, here's the recommended changes, and explanation why.
And these things came from the group doing the codification, these recommendations, or?
No, the 14 items, these are things that
They'll be-
keep coming up,
Okay, okay.
like the trash,
Okay,
and the back lots, and, you know, all of that mess. It just
Okay.
keeps coming up.
okay. I wasn't sure if someone from legal reviewed
No.
the.
Well, there are
ordinances.
like, number 13, actually, I'm sorry, 12 came from the town attorney, who pointed out there's a loophole in the law, that if you have a medical provider that is limited to 5 plants, you can have somebody rent a greenhouse with 7 of them, and so now you have a marijuana facility that is exempt from the state and local. So she just brought up that the town may want to put in something to close that loophole. John, you keep bringing up developers who apply for a subdivision approval and they haven't paid taxes for 2 years on the lots. Many towns just have a requirement in there, you have to submit proof of payment of taxes as a submission.
That'd be great.
Okay, so it does sound like legal did review and provided their comments, right? Maybe not like
Well,
formally, but.
Well, let me suggest, we had a staff meeting that included the town attorney, and we went down
Okay.
through my list. She added that one. The code officer said in other towns, they have a correction provision. The select board can make changes to the ordinance just to correct typos or
Mhm.
misreferences, that kind of stuff, instead of waiting until a town meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is all manageable for between now and the next town meeting to put into the codification. Some of those other policies are not.
To wrap into the entire codification.
Yeah,
ordinance,
like
so
trying to
whatever.
figure out what should be in contract zoning, like in addition to best, that can't happen this year.
So to clarify, the 139
Yeah,
are
and I did include.
staff, it's
Yeah,
used
and
by
those are,
staff
if you
to
wanna
work
look
on
through
those.
these, and there's any that you wanna know what we're gonna do, and there are some pretty significant things in there, but they're dictated by state law. You cannot require a 1 acre mobile home park site. State law does not allow you to do that. So those kinds of things, we will be making changes, but again, this will all be part of what is presented to the voters and presented in the public, participation process, so.
Where are the 129?
Scroll all the way through.
Yeah, on page 120 of your packet starts, so you can look down through all of those 139 questions. I've already done 100 of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for providing those.
yeah, it's, yeah, you can see what the types they are. Part of what bogged us down in the roads issues was just the confusion between, well, is it a road or is it a street? You know, the ordinance is all over the place, and so we just got bogged down in that kind of stuff. This is gonna fix it.
Okay, so and the intent would be, by the way, I didn't see anything about tiny homes, and tiny homes, the state has changed, we do need
That'll
to
be
do
part
something,
of the
right?
ADUs, that'll be part of the ADUs.
Okay, so we'll-
Accessory dwelling units, which
So
is
we'll
one.
address the,
Yeah,
the problems with ours versus state.
yep,
So if I understand this correctly, the recommendation is 2 warrant articles for
yep.
the next town meeting,
Mhm.
next June. So one will be the 139 issues,
Yep,
and then one would be the 14 minor
Correct.
issues or some part thereof.
Yep.
Doing that. So, and I may have heard you say, I guess, I didn't know if you said it or not, but I think the 14 are not as minor as we may think they are. I mean, I think there will be a lot of public participation, comment, feedback, and even just discussion amongst us about changing.
and part of the reason I'm suggesting that they are relatively minor is that overall, it's maintaining the current growth management policy. It's just changing the way that it's done. So you're still gonna have back lots, you're still gonna have those road maintenance agreements. It's just making the system make sense and work better. So it is a policy change. Requiring proof of payment of taxes is a policy. So, but it's a relatively minor policy.
Well, that's been relatively easy,
Yep,
requiring taxes. I don't know who would,
yep.
other than somebody who hasn't paid their taxes. But there were some other issues that I think, landscape design, buffering,
Yeah. And-
those kinds of things where there may be, backlots, just by definition, seems to be controversial now. It's sort of like the third rail.
Again, we're not changing that, we're just simplifying the
Okay.
way that we're doing it. But, to your point, John, the last of the major ones in the list is any that can't make it through the minor ones.
Okay, and I like that definition, I think that's,
Yeah, so,
and, not to say that we shouldn't take something on,
yep,
if we have the time. I mean, I think just doing this will be fairly time consuming,
right.
the 14 in particular. And the question is, we're shooting for all of these being town meeting ready by May of next year.
Correct.
So, I mean, it not necessarily, you've got a deadline of July for the 139.
Right, and then a deadline of December to get a draft together.
To
present.
include the 14.
Yeah, to include those 14.
Okay. I just wanna make sure that everybody, the ability to do stuff, because of the 14, I didn't see anything that was outside the realm of what we're gonna do, of what the planning
Right,
board, is responsible for.
correct.
I don't see us handing off to agricultural, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Now, they certainly,
They may bring in some stuff that they want put in.
well, they may, and I think that at the end of the day, what they can accomplish, and then, that is an additional, public hearing, at least by us, they're gonna assume they would all do the informational meetings.
Right,
And that really didn't work last year with the historic district, so everybody, it's just, the onus is on George. I guess I would really like to see that on the 14, that, when you send them to us, that road commissioner, fire chief, codes, they're all in sync with what you wanna do, or
Yep.
you say, hey, code, fire, road is not in sync with this, and then we'll, look at the
That's
select
right.
board to sort it
Yep.
out. But I
it's
really
already in
want
motion.
their stamp of blessing or their feedback on it. Any other comments? What have we got coming up, George? I guess we have a sawmill, right? Are the sawmill guys still
Yeah.
planning to come in and, a conditional use? And, the two, I
And
guess,
site plan.
we've got Ruby Lane and, what's the other one? Bowie Hill.
You
and
guys
they're-
pushed that one, right? Or not pushed it, you gave it a 6-month.
Yeah, there's the extension to get their paperwork together. But I suspect, or would hope for their sake, that they would get their state permits by sooner rather than later. Depending upon how prepared they are and how good the state is at getting stuff done. Okay, I guess I need a motion to adjourn,
I'll make
please.
that motion.
Move second,
Yes.
all in favor, raise a hand. I gotta tell you, I got a sore neck from looking right and left to see if you guys had any objections. And I'm sorry I didn't bring the other paperwork.
All right,
Thank
we're
you.
done, thank you.
Please turn your mics off. George is on.